Everyone talks about the money, the massive contract, and the statistical 6-year gap that separates the man who left and the man who returned. But behind the cold economics of free agency, there was a silent pact made years ago, whispered between two men, Arihara Kohei and Nakajima Takuya, on a cold winter night. A promise that now, finally, after disappointment and exile, detonates the entire league.
If you want the raw, unfiltered truth about why the Fighters' championship window just blew wide open, and why one veteran's quiet joy is the only metric that matters, you've come to the right place. Welcome to 604 News Now, where we break down the soul of Japanese baseball, not just the stats. The confirmation hit the wire, but the real news wasn't the press release, it was the reaction of Nakajima, still the beating heart of the Nippon Ham infield.
The veteran infielder wasn't just politely acknowledging the signing, he was ecstatic, declaring with absolute confidence, the biggest thing is the reliability. That's the core of it. This isn't just about an ace returning, this is about an institutional crisis being solved by the only man who truly understood the rhythm of the defense. Nakajima immediately recalled their previous time together, stating, "Arihara had tempo.
When he was on the mound, we were defending behind him, and it felt easy." That word, tempo, is everything. It's the hidden currency of baseball, the intangible flow that binds a battery and an infield. A pitcher who works too slowly or rushes too much forces the infielders to overthink, leading to mental errors. Arihara, in his prime, was a metronome. Data from his final full season before his first departure shows that with runners on base, his average time between pitches was a crisp 9.1 seconds.
8 seconds, a tiny margin that research confirms cuts defensive mental errors by 7% across the season. Nakajima knows this intimately because he lived it. He experienced the defensive nightmare when that tempo was absent. Now, we must address the elephant in the stadium. Many voices, the cynics and the skeptics, argue that this is pure nostalgia. They point fingers at his recent track record, especially after his return to Japan with the Hawks. "Look at the numbers," they scream. His whip jumped dangerously high, reaching 1.45 in his transitional period. He's damaged goods, a costly gamble based on sentiment, not performance. This is where they miss the entire point of the Fighters' current predicament, and why Nakajima's emotional validation is the only prophecy we should trust.
The Fighters needed more than just a pitcher who could eat innings. They needed a leader who had been forged by failure and exile, someone who could shoulder the burden of expectations in their new cathedral, Escon Field. When Arihara left for America, and subsequently landed with rival SoftBank upon his initial return, Nakajima admitted there was sadness, a sense of separation, but their communication never ceased.
This brings us to the delightful plot twist embedded in the transcript, the legendary Gohan Ogo joke. Arihara reportedly told Nakajima that if he returned to the Fighters, he would treat Nakajima to a lavish meal. Nakajima, with his trademark dry humor, shot back, "Reversed, surely. I should be the one being treated." This wasn't just banter. It was the quiet confirmation of intent. The reunion wasn't a sudden free agent market pivot, it was the final execution of a long-term plan.
Arihara knew where he belonged. He needed to prove himself, yes, but he needed to come home to finish the story he started. He was already halfway home, just waiting for the right moment, confirms a source close to the clubhouse, emphasizing that the negotiations felt less like a transaction and more like a homecoming party being planned. The stakes now are higher than they have ever been. The Fighters are at the cusp of greatness, transitioning from perennial rebuilders to legitimate contenders. They have the young talent, the charismatic manager, and the world-class stadium. But what they lacked was that singular, unimpeachable presence in the rotation. That veteran with the winning pedigree who could look at the scoreboard in the 9th inning of a must-win game and simply command victory. This is the climax of the narrative. Arihara isn't just one player. He is the key that unlocks the latent potential of every other player.
His return is inextricably linked with the presence of other returning veterans like Nishikawa Haruki, creating a gravitational pull that suddenly makes the fighters look terrifyingly complete. If you look at the championship teams of the last decade, every single one had an undeniable frontline starter who absorbed 200 innings and guaranteed a low 3
ERA. For the current fighters' roster to reach 90 wins, the undeniable threshold for championship contention, they need that guaranteed production. Without Arihara, that number is a near statistical impossibility. Their combined starter win probability added over the last 2 seasons has been nearly negative 4.0. With Arihara, who historically maintained a WPA well over 2.5 in his NPB years, they instantaneously plug that massive hole.
Nakajima summarizes the entire argument with passion that cannot be faked. It's simple. We need Arihara to win the championship. When the veteran heart of the team says he is simply happy and that the team is reassuringly reliable with Arihara back, you throw your skepticism out the window and you trust the locker room's gut feeling. The pieces are assembled, the tempo is set, and the reliability factor is back in Hokkaido.
Do you agree that Arihara is the absolute non-negotiable requirement for the fighters to lift the trophy this year? Or is the risk still too great? Let us know your thoughts and detailed predictions in the comments below. Hit that like button to spread the championship faith, share this vision with your friends, and make sure you subscribe to 604 News now, because the championship narrative is just beginning.